A couple of weeks ago, I made a video detailing some experiments I did explaining how you can create your own dark ambient chords. The idea was to create something a bit more dark than a simple minor chord. I thought it might be interesting and useful for you to see how you might use some of these chords in a dark ambient piece of music. Now, there are dozens of different types of dark ambient music and dozens of ways of making dark ambient music. For this demo, I've just gone for a soundscape, something slightly dark, perhaps a little bit ominous running along there. Now, if you push dark too far, I think you can edge towards horror vibes, and I didn't want to go that far, so hopefully this is just a piece of dark ambient music. I explained the chords I've used and the notes I've used to produce the chords. Now, if you are a bit fuzzy about chords, some of these may seem a little bit complex. I haven't gone into massive detail about them, but in some of the other tutorial videos I do. So if you want to know a little bit more anyway about chords and ambient chords, check out those videos. Links to everything I mentioned will be in the description. As well as the chords, I show you what sounds I've used to create the piece and how I've arranged it. So hopefully you get an idea of how these chords and how different sounds can be used to put together a piece of dark ambient music. Let's take a look. So as this demo is essentially to demonstrate some dark ambient chords, let's have a look at the chord sequence first. And there are only 4 chords in the sequence. Let's scroll through the project. So they are contained in this section. And you can see it's repeated. It's not very long, it's about 3.5 minutes long, I think. So this contains the chords, and I'll just briefly run through them. I shall go through the sounds as well. This is Spitfire Audio's cinematic pads, which I used in the dark ambient chord tutorial a couple of videos ago. So we could get quite deep into these chords and the harmonic analysis and so on, but I'm not going to. I don't want to. I don't think it's necessary. This is Cubase's interpretation of the chords. But let me get my keyboard up and I will explain exactly what chords I've used. Now, this piece is in C minor. It's the chords we went through in the last tutorial. And the first chord is a C minor with a flattened 6th, which is the A flat there. So I've created a C minor chord here. Just doubled up on the C, and there's the flat 6. So that's the first chord. As we discussed in the tutorial, you could look upon that as an A flat major 7. But the fact that we have a C in the bass, I think that firmly says it is a C chord of some description. The next chord is the James Bond chord, the C minor major 7, and the B is the major 7 here. So there's our C minor chord, there's our major 7. I've also hit the G up there, so that's the second chord. And for the third chord, I really just wanted to do something fairly simple. I know some of these chords may not look simple, but the essential underlying harmonic content I think is fairly simple. I'm using the usual suspects. If you look at chords in a scale, the most popular and most used chords are the first chord, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. So I just wanted to use something like that. So we've established a C minor. So the second one I wanted to use was an F, and I could have used an F minor. So I could have gone from a C minor to an F minor. That's a nice change. We have a little bit of frisson with the G there, but I just wanted something a little bit more ambient, a bit more ambiguous. So I'm using this, and Cubase has interpreted this as a D minor 11 with a C bass. So the notes I decided to go with are these, and they do not fit into an easy harmonic framework. I think of this as an F-ish chord. Technically it's probably closest to a C sus2 with an added 11th, although you could look at it, I guess, as an F sus2 with an added 6, and because of the G you could possibly make a case for some sort of G sus4 chord. You see the difficulties you get into when you try to analyse chords. I know there are probably some experts out there saying, oh, that's a blah 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 chord or whatever it is, but to me I wanted an F-ish feeling, and I think that gives it a bit of an F-ish feeling without being too specific. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. And the last one is, I think we've got this one right, this is a G sus4. So that's a G chord, and we are suspending the third up to the fourth. Is anything complicated about this? I don't think so. Hurrah, hurrah. So, to my way of thinking, we are going from a C minor to some sort of an F. We're not being terribly specific, and then to a G sus4. So, the usual suspect. The other thing worth noting is that we are holding down these 3 notes in the left hand throughout the entire chord sequence, 2 C's and a G, and these act as a pedal tone, pedal notes. Now you've probably come across these before. They are usually low notes, but not always. They can be played higher up the keyboard, but they are just a tone or a note which is played against a different harmonic sequence. So we could just hold these down in the left hand as we're doing here, and then play chords which essentially might clash with the harmony, but the fact that these notes remain constant, this is a pedal tone, and it gives a little bit of a grounding for the notes which go above it. So that's the chord sequence, and that just repeats throughout. So let's look at the sound. So the main sound, as I said, is Spitfire cinematic pads, which is a nice string sound. One of the other sounds is Blue 3 by Rob Parpin, and this is an ambient soundscape by itself. It has this sort of weird animal sounds going on, plus a little bit of percussion in a sense. Anyway, so that is running alongside or on top of the main part. Below that, this is again Rob Parpin's Vector, which is it's a string-like sound. It's a nice sound, and it goes well with the cinematic pads. The next track is this. I've called this Music Box. I think this is Evolved something or other. Evolved Mutations. Sorry, my eyes are not very good. I can't read that. But all I've done here is to create little snippets, if you like. Let's get the keyboard back up. So all I've done is basically play these notes in a sort of semi-random fashion. A bit like that, and I actually created a whole part, a whole sequence this long, and then I just cut it up and spread the parts out, and you'll hear what it sounds like in context in a moment. The next one is, it's just this little, it's a tinkly sound. It's just a little arpeggio which you will hear, and there is another sound. Where is it? There we are. And this is the sound. It's exactly the same part as the one that Vector was playing up there, but this is a sort of lower version of the cinematic pad sound. And again, the two cinematic pad sounds are used on the dark ambient tutorial. So that's all the sections. So there's nothing very complicated or complex about the piece. I've just arranged the parts, the different sections, into what I think is a relatively pleasing arrangement. Sort of just juggling these sections around and positioning the music box sounds and these little arpeggios at appropriate places. I initially had the music box line running all the way through this piece, but I thought it was a little bit too much. I do like it. Now I have mixed this, it's quite low on the mix, although it's quite prominent because it begins the piece. Right, so let's just play through this and you can hear what it sounds like. So there we are. That's the piece. It's quite short and very simple. If you've seen some of my other videos and listened to any of my other music, you know that I will often try to top and tail a piece with something similar at the beginning and end. I hope you found that interesting, hopefully useful, and if you do produce any of your own dark ambient music, do please leave a link to them in the description. I would be really interested in hearing them. If you found this video interesting, there's a lovely big thumbs up button down there. If you want to click on that, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. And if you are not already a subscriber, there's also a big subscribe button. That would be doubly helpful. In any event, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you again in the next video.